see, wait for others to join. Yeah, turn on your videos. This is, it's our lunch hour meeting for today, I think. It would be great if we could see each other, if you can. I know we have several other people who have signed up for today, and hopefully they'll join us soon. And we will work with whatever we have in the space. Well, it may be a very intimate meeting, so that's good too. You know, we will recenter together. Let's do this. I'll get us started. I'll do the welcomes and some upfront logistics, and we'll see. We'll bring others along as they join in. We are recording this conversation, and the reason for that is so we could share it with others who maybe didn't make it today, wanted to make it. So we're wanting to make this accessible and available to our community or to some of your communities. So welcome to everyone. And this is Ina Gikondi. I'm Director for Executive Education and Coaching at George Washington University Center for Excellence in Public Leadership. I am calling in from my home here in Alexandria, Virginia. I'm joined by my colleague Katerina Pietibratova. She's our Director of Marketing and Business Development at the center. I see also my colleague Samantha Luna Henry is here with us, also from the center. And several, I think, Vinay and Luann from our network. Well, welcome everyone. We are really happy to host these series, considering the times we're living, and the vision for it was from the beginning to just open up spaces where we can together hold that space for each other. So we're not running webinars, we're running community meetings. So you're welcome to turn on your video and be a fully present participant. If that doesn't work for you, it's okay too. It's all good. We're very excited today to have with us Amanda Blake. And the session today, and I hope you are following us, we have sessions going on through the month of April. Today we're working on recentering together, purposeful action in troubled times. Amanda is author of the best-selling book, Your Body is Your Brain, and also the creator of the Body Equals Brain course, or the neurobiology of experiential leadership learning. In addition to teaching about the art and the science of embodiment, she also works with very progressive leaders worldwide to help them become their best self, enjoy life more, and make a bigger contribution. Once an internationally competitive athlete, she's skilled at cultivating high performance in herself and in others. Mandy is a master somatic leadership coach and holds a degree in human biology from the Stanford University, and is also a research fellow at the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent of World Benefit. She's a longtime yoga enthusiast, mountaineer, musician, and a celebrator of life. And you can learn more about Mandy at her website, embright.org. We're very happy, Mandy, to have you with us today. We've been running the space and meeting with whatever comes up. I know you have a few things you'll share with us, and the intention here is for everyone to step in, participate, and bring your full self wherever you are right now. And one other logistics before we get started, feel free to unmute yourself and speak up, or say anything you would like to say, a question or make a comment while we're in this conversation. You can also put things on the chat, but bring your full human connection to it in whichever way you prefer at this point. So with that, Mandy, I'll turn it back to you.
Great. Thank you, Ina, and thank you, Katerina, for, but thank you to both of you for just jumping on this and seeing an opportunity in the midst of calamity, and a way for us to connect with one another, be together, learn from one another, and just sort of touch into community on a regular basis. I was so excited when I saw you doing this and raised my hand immediately to say, yes, I'd like to play and be a part of this group. So hello, everybody, both those of you who I already know and those of you who are new to me. I'm really glad to be here with you. And what we're going to do in this hour is mostly experiential and movement oriented. And really our theme is, how do we get recentered in what we most care about and take action from that place? So that's what we're going to be playing with today. And I want to just start by having you, inviting you to jot down answers to a few questions, and then we'll go around and get people's voices in the room, especially since this is such a small group. We have room to speak aloud some of our answers. So the first question I would pose to you is, in these weeks that we're in, and you could answer this from how you are right now, or just sort of your overall background mood since the world tilted on its axis, how is your heart? How is your heart? And what do you need to make room for or make space for right now? And again, that could be right now in this moment, or that could be in this moment in history, in this period of time. What do you need to make room for? Let's hold the questions there for now. And what I'd love to do is just invite anyone who is moved to take yourself off of mute and tell us your name and how is your heart and what do you need space for? And let me say, we have time and space, if we're brief, to hear from everyone. So please don't be shy, even if you're not accustomed to speaking up on these kinds of calls. It would be really helpful for us to hear from one another how we're doing, how we're each doing.
Mandy, for me, Vinay here. Uh, one of my top values is connectedness and relationships and togetherness, sort of on that domain. So in some sense, I'm feeling a bit isolated because I'm working from home mostly and not getting out. And really, people know me, I'm a huggy bear. So I hug dogs and cats and babies and everybody. So it's important to me. Feeling disconnected in that sense. At the same time, a lot of gratitude because here we are because of technology. We can hear each other, and we can see each other, and we can be in community this way. So a lot of gratitude for this technology being available. That's here we are together the best we can, given the circumstances.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinay.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Daphne. I think my heart varies from feeling a lot of love and connectedness to being on this kind of roller coaster of fear and needing to let go of being in control and making room for hope and also for love and connectedness.
Beautiful. Thank you, Daphne.
So this is Luann. Is my voice okay?
Yep.
Okay. I've been noticing, particularly at night when I lay down, but even now, just a real physical constriction around my heart. And yesterday when we got to play with Dan Newby and the emotions, kind of the whole, I just feel really tight and closing in, and just, as I uplift and open out, it just feels so much better. So just remembering that I have choice in whether I can just feel that constriction or whether I can choose to move when my natural tendency is to, curl into that fetal protective nature, but to take a breath and open, bring the air in.
Nice. Thanks, Luann.
This is Katerina. I've been feeling extra sensitive and reactive these past few days, not just to the news, but to my own feelings and emotions. I'm typically not like that, but that's what's been coming up for me. And I almost felt like I needed that safety cushion, like when you have in your car that when you slam on brakes, that you bounce against it, or something to just help provide some kind of safety net between me and what the reality is at the moment.
Makes sense.
This is Ina. So the way it has been for me is the heart has been feeling tender. It goes into this expansion and contractions, but into a new way of expanding and contracting, which sometimes it's quite tight and sometimes it gets too expansive. So to attend to that rhythm, I think the invitation I've been taking myself to is to slow down, really, to attend to the slowing down, take a little more rest, and really, just literally attend to the slowness, this new rhythm. Invite myself into that new rhythm. Yeah.
Thank you, Ina.
My name is Chelsea. Hi. I've actually had some heart palpitations and flutters this week. And I've experienced a loss of someone very close to me this week. And so I've been, even though we're very remote from one another because of Zoom and because of other technologies and stuff, feeling connected to people, being supported, but also reticent to keep my heart open. Like I have to protect it.
Makes sense. I'm sorry for your loss, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak up before we move on? Cheryl, Samantha, Mayumi.
Hi, this is Samantha. I feel happy and then scared and then very happy and abundant and then yeah, then everything kind of sits in and just wondering what I'm doing. So both I felt better the last couple days and then today I feel a little bit more disconnected from myself, but I think that's okay.
Thank you, Samantha.
Hi, this is Mayumi.
Hi, Mayumi.
Hi, my heart, like my house, feels full. We've got a handful of kids over here, and it's been a challenging time. We lost a family member a couple of weeks ago, and so planning funeral services with limited attendance and figuring out which family members can come and which family members should stay home for their own safety. It's been hard, but we've been getting through it, and we've been really thankful for technology and all of the internet connectivity that allows us to stay connected to each other and support each other. But things I need to make room for as a working from home all of a sudden parent whose kids are also home all the time, are patience and grace for my family members and for myself.
Yeah, beautifully put. Thank you. So Cheryl is in listen only mode, so I'll share mine, and then we'll move into how we can turn some of this into a process and a practice of recentering. Right before this call, literally right before, 15 minutes before, I got a call from my mom, and she called twice, which made me think, ooh, something's up. And something was up. She was having a really rough day, and she wanted to talk to me about her anxieties about just the safety of our whole family and her fears. And so right in that moment, my heart was so many conflicted things, right? Open with love and care for my mother, and also impatient to get off of that call and be with you, and also some being infected by some of her anxiety, and also feeling really grateful that so far my family has been unaffected by the virus, even though we have some healthcare professionals in our family. So like many of you, and this was a theme that I heard as you were speaking, there's this roller coaster of so many different emotions. And also a real yearning to make space for connectedness and some kind of cocooning in the midst of chaos, right? Some kind of nourishing cocooning. Nobody used those words, but I heard many of you touch on sort of slowing down or making space for feelings, or carrying a sense of grace for your family members when you can't escape the ones you love. So all of that's present. And the question is, in the midst of the very complex emotional stew that we might be in, and the kind of the topsy-turvy upheaval, what can we do to center ourselves and then recenter ourselves and then recenter ourselves over and over, not because feeling more centered and grounded is a higher or better state. I would argue that it's also really important for us to feel and really thoroughly be with and feel through the more uncomfortable emotions that come up for us. So rather than kind of suppressing those or pushing those down, how can we be with discomfort and unease and the roller coaster and the stew and mix of it all, and also keep centering in what's most important to us? What do we most care about? What do we what's a place from which we want to take action? So I would invite you now to just reflect quietly for a few moments about what care is central for you now. Who or what do you care about that you'd like to keep rooting yourself in as we move through this tumultuous time? And there may be more than one answer to this. So one way to answer this question would be to actually write down a list of people or situations or causes or whatever that you know you care about. And another way to answer this question would be to sink into your heart. So let your attention move from your thinking self, kind of trickle down or wash down into the center of your chest. And if it helps, you can put a hand or both hands there. You could also put a hand on your low belly right below your navel. That might help bring you into your center or your core. And see if, more than thinking about what you care about, if you can actually call up the feeling, the sensation, the experience of care. And just notice, as you invite in a feeling of care, perhaps by imagining the person or situation or four-legged friends or whomever it is that's coming to mind right now. If you bring that into your imagination and shift into your feeling of care, what happens to you physically? And one of the things that I'm just noticing on the screen is that several of you happen to spontaneously smile. Notice too whether there's a difference in the shape of your brow or the set of your shoulders, whether there's a difference in the sensation in the center of your chest. Maybe it's more warm there now or more cool, or more open, or more settled, or perhaps moving in a different way. So just notice what that experience of care physically feels like. And I would love to hear in the chat box just one or two physical features of what it feels like to you to care. So themes that are coming up in the chat box: warmth, breath, openness, humor, joy, and peacefulness. I like that. Yeah. So if you could develop a short phrase of who or what it is you care about. So, one example for me from my own life would be who happened to be coming to mind and to heart as we were doing that are my nephews. I have three nephews. And, a short phrase for me might be just the word nephews, or it could be their names, or it could be uh, something that might sound like on behalf of the future, right? Or on behalf of the next generation. So find for yourself a really short phrase, what might sound like kind of a mantra. So 1 to 5 words, definitely no more than 10, that just encapsulates your care. And then when you have that phrase, if you're willing to share it in the chat box, it's not a command performance, but if you're willing to share it in the chat box, as Luann has done, please share it. One of the things that I love about using the chat box in calls like these is that we can really quickly see really broadly what others are doing and get ideas for ourselves. So live like you were dying, heartbeat of the family. If we still have our heart, we have everything. Wholehearted living. Expand and stay. So what I want to invite you to do now is we're going to play around with a way of using this mantra that you've developed for yourself and the feeling of care as a way to recenter yourself. And part of the reason this works and is valuable is because when we get spun up or we're on the roller coaster, or your mom calls and you get sort of like a anxiety contagion event, whatever it is, that we need ways, we need touchstones to bring ourselves back. And very often we do that through telling ourselves something different, or through trying to remember to take a deep breath, but sometimes that can be hard to remember to do. So it can be really helpful to have something physically that we can do that goes along with a set of words that reminds us of what we care about. So I'm going to show you 2 or 3 different ways to physically recenter yourself and combine that with what you care about as a way of developing a centering practice that's unique to you and customized to your situation, your cares, and how your body responds to stress, and how your body is resilient, expresses its resilience. So let's do this. I will only do this for a moment, but let yourself go into your worries for a moment, your stressors, your whatever it is about feeling isolated, or maybe feeling like you can't get enough space from the people that you live with, or feeling worried for your loved ones, or a sense of loss. Like, let yourself feel that for a moment. And notice what happens to the set of your shoulders, the shape of your brow, what happens in your back and your seat, what happens in the center of your chest. Are you more warm or cool, more tight or open? more still, or is there more movement? And if you had a word just in your mind, note, here's what the mood feels like that I'm in right now, in this space where kind of inviting in some of the more uncomfortable emotions. Just a word to mark it. And then what I'm going to invite you to do I'm going to do this too on camera. It's a silly thing and it might feel silly to do. But I invite you to join me in stretching your face. So just wiggle your jaw. Try to get your nose muscles and cheek muscles in there. You can stick out your tongue, really wiggle all those small muscles right around your nose and on the bridge of your nose, on the top of your nose. Squinch your eyes and look left, right, up, down. Make sure to bring your forehead in. And if you're someone who can wiggle your ears, you can get into your ears and your scalp. And keep breathing while you're doing this. So some of you may have noticed yourself starting to hold your breath a little bit. Keep breathing. Really tighten up your face. All the muscles in your face really tight. And on an exhale, let that go. Anything that still feels like it might need a little bit of a stretch, you can do with your face or with your hands. And on an exhale, see if you can let the tension in your face release even just a little bit more. Good. And now, just having done that, if you could say right now your mood in a word, noting to yourself the difference from a minute ago before you stretched your face to now. Just noticing what difference that made. So step one, stretch your face. And then however you're sitting or standing or moving right now, see if you can get your hips right underneath you. So right to left, forward, back. Just see if you can wiggle your hips right underneath you so that you have a really stable base, whether you're sitting or standing, and so that your spine just naturally elongates out of your pelvic bowl. And then choose one thing that you noticed in that felt sense of care. So maybe it was a sense of expansion in your chest. For some of you, there was a smile on your face. For some of you, there was a sense of humor that came in, or some sense of ease or relaxed shoulders. So invite in the one thing that seems like is a physical shift that can help you shift into what you care about. And then repeat to yourself out loud or in your own mind your short mantra. So reconnecting to what you care about. And there's three parts to this that I'm sharing. The stretching of your face, which works because our facial neuromusculature is tied into the autonomic nervous system, which is the part of us that controls our fight-flight response. So stretching our face is a really simple, fast, easy way. We did that for about a minute. Stretching your face and breathing can help release some of the sense of fear or anxiety or frustration or impatience that may, whatever discomfort comes. getting our hips underneath us. So your psoas muscle, which is the muscle that travels from your upper half of your body, it connects at the 12th rib, if I'm not mistaken, and all the way down to the inner edge of your thigh bones. That muscle is runs by a bunch of nerves in your parasympathetic system. The parasympathetic nervous system is part of your rest and digest or relaxation part of your nervous system. If you get your hips right underneath you, it allows that part of you to be more activated as opposed to more constricted. So you actually have more opportunity to shift into the part of you that physically knows how to be calm and stable. And then your mantra and your own personalized physical shift into what you care about, your felt sense of care, can give you sort of a final step towards what matters to you and how to embody that in any given moment. So before we go on, I'd love to hear from people both what's this experience like for you and what questions are arising. So what is this provoking? How might it help you? What questions do you have? And please just feel free to take yourself off mute so we can hear from one another.
I think, Mandy, initially there's like when I was feeling restlessness, there's like all this energy trapped inside of me. And when I can stretch and breathe, it gets energy flowing again. And with that comes a sense of ease and relaxation is what I experienced. It was more physical for me. Yeah.
One of the things that we'll do in so you're talking about energy getting trapped, and that's actually what we do. So when we get anxious, what we tend to tighten up. When we tighten up, that means that the metabolic energy that's moving through our whole bodies, and we're digesting and moving energy through our cells all the time, that actually is it's like the garbage man doesn't come or whatever. You can't get rid of all that metabolic waste out of your cells. But when you can soften and relax, particularly around something that you care about, it makes us sort of more of an expanded physical self, so that some of that energy can actually move through. Thanks for that, Vinay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. What else? Other kinds of experiences?
For me, it was kind of helpful to set those anchors that I can use throughout the day, whether physical or mental, to shift back into the more balanced state. So it suddenly clicked for me on how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Great. So now you have something that's operationalizable. Yeah, something you can do. And it's one of the things that I really love about this this kind of work, is that it's very practical, in a sense that, like, here's an action I can take. So more on that in a moment. What else?
For me, it was feeling this initially with the care and the worry. I felt tight, like I was shrinking in on myself. And then thinking about what I care most about is expansive for me. My chest opens up. I notice that when I'm worried and tight, I'm not breathing, or breathing shallowly. And when I can let go and kind of let in the care and compassion and love, I can open up again and breathe more deeply, and even sit up straighter.
So it's not something that we usually think about. The question that I asked earlier, what do you need to make room for? We don't usually, at least in my experience, I don't necessarily think about, well, what do I need to make room for in my life? And I don't think about making room in my body in order to make room for that uh, thing that might support me more. Um, and I think what you're pointing to here, Daphne, is the value or the promise of making room, that sense of expansiveness, so that we can literally make more room for what we care about in our lives. Cool.
This practice reminded me of when you think of someone who makes you smile. But I really like this activity because I feel more connected to it, and it's more internal rather than thinking of a best friend that always makes me smile. But I feel like more of it's me. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think keeping that distinction between thinking about who or what we care about and actually feeling the sense of care, that's a really important distinction to just be aware of and to uh, lean on in times when our sense of care can be a support. So I want to talk about, this is very nice. We get to spend an hour together playing around with some of these practices, but they're only helpful to us insofar as we can find them in the moments that we need them. And that can be really challenging to do unless it's a habit. So I'm sure many, if not all of you, are familiar with the experience of going into some difficult situation, some difficult conversation. And you're like, I know when the heat is on, I need to take 10 deep breaths and I'll feel much better and I'll be able to handle it much better. And then you forget all about taking a deep breath, right? It's really easy to forget. Now, breathing is valuable in the same way that stretching our face is valuable. Both breathing and our facial expressions are tied into the autonomic nervous system, that part of us that manages both the fight, flight, and the rest and digest system. They're both tied in the same way, which is to say both breathing and our facial expressions are tied in both a voluntary and an involuntary way. So we have voluntary control over our breath and our expressions. And those things are also, we might say, done for us, right? Sometimes our expression is automatic, or our breathing, we're not paying attention to. And so what that means is that with these two areas of our body, we have a really great place to specifically intervene in the part of us that gets worked up. I find it's a lot easier for people to remember to stretch their face, and they can do that multiple times throughout the day. So what I am going to recommend, prescribe, suggest, invite is that if this seems like something that might be valuable for you, that you set an alarm on your phone or put on your screensaver of your computer, or find a little sticky note if you like analog solutions, and write yourself a note on your mirror. And on a daily basis, multiple times a day, just take a moment. Really, it can be 30 seconds to stretch your face, get your hips underneath you, physically feel a sense of care, and just say those few words to yourself, that mantra about who or what you care about. And to do that multiple times a day, so that then in those moments where you get that phone call from the loved one who's got a lot of anxiety, and you find yourself also taken by that, your body will start to remember, oh, I can soften my eyes, I can relax my jaw, I can get my hips underneath me, I can remind myself, oh, right, my nephews, or my friend that makes me laugh, or on behalf of future generations, or live like you were dying. So All of these are possibilities. So what I want to invite you to do now is we're going to fairly quickly shift back and forth between kind of the more tight place that you described, Daphne, that the place of greater stress or anxiety, and the place of an embodied sense of calm and care. And what I want to do together is just switch back and forth 2 or 3 times between those places so that your body starts to learn how it feels different. And if you know how it feels different and you've had that experience and you start to do that multiple times a day, that will become increasingly accessible to you. So let's right now just, I'll walk us through it. Just let yourself get taken by the scary part of the roller coaster, the uncomfortable part of the roller coaster, the anxiety, the discomfort, the sadness. And notice if that produces what? Tension in your shoulders, or an ugly feeling in the pit of your stomach, or your leg is jittering under the table. So just notice what that produces physically. And then stretch your face a little bit while breathing and getting your hips underneath you. So you can do this all at once. Remind yourself who or what you care about. That mantra. And that physical felt sense of care. Good. And then think about the latest headline that you read, or the worries that you're facing right now. Whatever it is that's provoking anxiety for you. And just notice, what's the physical signature, the physical marker of that anxiety? Is it the same as last time or a little bit different? And then while getting your hips underneath you, stretch your face, breathe. And physically shift into that felt sense of care by reminding yourself with that short mantra. Good, and let yourself just one more time go back into that state of discomfort or anxiety, whatever it is for you. And find your hips underneath you, stretch your face. Shift into a felt sense of care. And see if you can move that felt sense of care into action by, if you're sitting, you can stand. See if you can maintain the sense of care, the whatever it is, if it's warmth in your chest or a relaxation in your shoulders or a smile on your face. See if you can continue to embody that even as you move. And then if you're free to do this and it's possible for you, go ahead and just slowly walk around the room that you're in with that felt sense of care embodied part of you. If you had to move into action to take care of your child or to do some work-related task or to figure out how you're going to go get the groceries, right? If you had to move into action, could you not maintain as a steady state, but could you keep returning to that care? Can you build enough familiarity with that felt sense of care that can be the source of your movement, the source of your action, because you now embody that as often as you can? So let me pause here for questions and comments. What's it like to do the shifting back and forth? How is it to try and move your care into action and to really embody your care in the world, to re-center in that? I'm open to questions. I would love to hear how this is landing for you, how you're experiencing this.
Thank you so much for that. I feel that I don't do what I have a lot of thoughts and I want to do things, and this actually moving the body was like, I'm doing it. I'm doing something. So that's how I feel. Thanks.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Samantha.
For me, the shifting back and forth is easier the second or third time around, and the feeling is not as intense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there, but it's not as overwhelming as the initial felt sense.
Yeah. And my experience has been, and I've seen this with my clients as well, that the more you can practice that shift back and forth, the sense, your body will get a sense of the contrast and will get more practiced at shifting gears into a whole different state of being. And the more practice you get at that, you start to build capacity where that the same things that used to throw you off don't throw you off as easily anymore. But it definitely takes practice. Thank you for that, Daphne.
And since I did your course, I remember what's become very clear to me is shifting just thinking and emotions by themselves is insufficient. We must bring the body into it because there's so much in the body. So I've been practicing more breathing, I've become very aware of my body sensations when I'm thrown off, and I can breathe and stretch, and it brings me back to center place. So involving the body in any kind of shifting is absolutely crucial, is what's become clear to me. So thank you for that teaching.
Yeah, you're welcome, Vinay. Thanks for that. I happen to agree with you. Big surprise.
I was going to say, building off of Vinay's point, this is Chelsea. I felt a major difference between sitting and standing. It was much easier for me when I was standing.
Yeah. Bear that in mind when you're holding online meetings and staring at a computer screen a lot these days, probably maybe more than before. It's worth bearing in mind, like, there's a reason standing desks are growing in popularity.
I have the exact same experience, Mandy, like Chelsea. In fact, I was telling Katerina this morning that I'm buying a standing desk because I find myself just now, the noticing when I had to walk, I'm much more at ease. However, I will feel a little bit of tightness. I'm getting more clear of my body sensation when I'm walking. I guess it's there, but when I stand and I walk, I can sense at a deeper capacity. That's what I would say. And definitely standing for me makes those transitions easier.
Great discovery. One of the things that can help with this, and Ina and Katrina, I don't know if I gave you this link, or if I did give you this link, if you shared it. There's a free website on the embright. There's a free website. There's a free resource on the embright website that called the Stress to Serenity Guide, and it uses a number of these principles. And if you want support in practicing, you can check that out. It will take you through 7 different audios over 14 days. And it's just a recording of me walking you through similar kinds of things that we've done here. The recordings are about 5 to 10 minutes long. And it's similar. It takes a little bit different approach to centering. But it's the same idea. How do you align your physical self, your emotions, and your actions with what is most deeply important to you? So if you guys did share that, just tell me the word. If not, I'll go look for it right now and share in the chat.
We have not, so that would be great.
Okay, let me
receive it. We'll definitely share it as we do a follow-up on this.
Okay.
And along with the recording of this Zoom meeting.
Okay, I just put the link in the chat
Great.
box, so you all have that now. Yeah, please feel free to help yourself to that. And it may just be nice for some of you that learn that way to have something that kind of keeps you playing.
Great.
Wonderful. Any last comments, or Ina, Katrina, do you have anything you need to do for us to close?
I think first thanking you, Mandy, for staying with us and walking and guiding a wonderful session. So appreciate that. We will share this recording and a follow-up note with also the resource you provided. Thanking everybody for being here and continuing to take care of yourself. Katerina, did you want to say anything?
I think that was beautifully put.
Great.
Nothing else on my end.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. And yes, body equals brain. I think Daphne says, thank you, man. They'll be signing up again for body equals brain. Great.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's we're closing enrollment in about a week. So just so people are aware, for anyone who's interested in the Body Equals Brain course, where we do lots more of this.
Great. Excellent. We can put that in our follow-up as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and for your time and attention, and keep doing all the good you're doing in the world.
Thanks, Mandy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.